Okay, Todd?
Thank you, Senator. I'm very pleased to join with you. This is about getting Americans back to work by creating a fair and level playing field. When unemployment is at 10%, nearly 10% across the nation, when underutilization of employment is about 20%, we need to create a fair and level playing field. So I'm pleased to join Senator Brownback and my fellow House members in giving this legislation to the opportunity to correct an unjust situation. As Senator Brownback said, we are not circumventing the WTO process. This legislation does not violate any national agreement. It's simply about creating a fair and level playing field, because we don't want to give an advantage to people who break the rules and allow them to compete against our American companies that are keeping safe. There is a disturbing trend in the Pentagon, though, and it's not just the American tanker contract that's in jeopardy here. It also takes fruition in other contracts like Imminent Fury, where they have tried to lease aircraft from a foreign country without allowing the American country with a very similar and better product the opportunity to bid. But in this specific situation, in the tanker contract, the air refueling tanker contract, the Department of Defense has already bent over backwards. They've also wavered on national security requirements. They have also waived associated tariffs. And of course, they had to waive the Buy American provision. But what's very troubling to me is that they've waived the International Trafficking in Arms Regulations, ITAR. They have waived the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and they've waived the federal cost accounting standards, so that we won't have the ability to track the progress if in fact they were able to bid this. Now think about this. The will of Congress was to pass the Buy American provision. It was the will of the American people through their duly elected representatives. On their own, the Department of Defense has waived that. It was the will of the American public to say that when we have business done in the world, our companies are going to operate to a standard called the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. We will not allow them to bribe. We will not allow them to give illegal gifts. And that is the will of the American people. And we want that worldwide. But we waive it for a foreign competitor, for ease. Why would we do that? And I think most troubling of all is that we are turning our back on American workers at a time when they need our help. We're turning it back on a blind eye to an unlevel playing field by giving a tremendous advantage to foreign competitors. And one example is the International Trafficking in Arms Regulations. That requires things to be done within the factory to set up an independent line to monitor and control the product so that it's separate from other products that could be sold to those that are our adversaries. So this is giving them a cost advantage as well as, I think, avoiding the will of the American people. So I think it's time for our Pentagon to be held accountable. This legislation does that, and I'm pleased to be part of it.